to spend a little time going over interval notation. It should be something you've seen in high school, but that could have been a while, so let's talk a little bit about it now. When you're describing a range of numbers, like if I say all of the numbers between 3 and 5, you have to notice that's kind of vague because do I mean including 3 or excluding 3, and the same thing with 5. We don't know if the endpoints are in there or not. So we have some more specific notation for that. Now, typically if you want your endpoints included, you want brackets on the end of your interval. So it's these square brackets here. And if you want your endpoints excluded, then you want parentheses like so. Like for example, suppose we wanted to talk about the set of x that are less than or equal to 5 and greater than or equal to 3. So if you draw that out in the number line, here's 3, here's 5. You may have seen this before. You want solid filled in circles at 3 and 5 and then kind of color in the space in between. Now in interval notation what that looks like is you've got 3 to 5 and you want to put brackets on both ends because I want to include both of those endpoints. I could also have x say strictly between 3 and 5. That is, x is less than 5 but greater than 3. So you notice a difference here. I don't want to include 3 and I don't want to include 5. So if you draw that out in the number line, what I've got is a hollow circle at 3, a hollow circle at 5, and I've still got everything colored in between. Now the interval notation for that set is going to be 3 to 5 in parentheses. Alright, of course we can have combinations of these things. You can have x less than or equal to 5 but strictly greater than 3, in which case you want a hollow circle at 3, filled in circle at 5. So what do you think that's going to look like in interval notation? You got a parentheses on your 3 and you got a bracket on your 5. And of course the last case, if I have x which is less than 5 but greater than or equal to 3, that means I want to include 3, so fill in that circle. I want to exclude 5, so leave that hollow, and color in the space in between. Now in interval notation, what's that look like? You're including 3, so you want a bracket on 3, and you want parentheses on 5 because you're excluding 5. Alright, so for basic intervals we're good. What about more complicated sets? What if I want x greater than 3? Now in the number line that just means that I'm starting at 3, so I need a hollow circle at 3, and I need to color in everything from there onward, right? So I've definitely got 3 in parentheses on this side. On the other side you're going to put infinity, right? That's not a sideways 8, it's an infinity, because it goes off, you know, as far as you can imagine on the other side. Likewise, if I wanted something like x less than or equal to 5, I want a solid dot at 5, but I want everything to the left of that 5 to be colored in. So you're going to put negative infinity to 5. Now, you notice I never put a bracket on the infinity end of it, and there's a good reason for that. Infinity is not actually a number, it's just a notation that means it goes as far as you want in that direction. So anytime you have an infinity, never put a square bracket on it. Alright, one more piece. What if you have two pieces you need to join up? Like what if x is greater than 5 or x is less than or equal to 2? Now on the number line that's easy enough to draw. Here's 2, here's 5. I want a solid circle at 2 and a hollow circle at 5. And you notice I'm coloring in to the left of 2 and to the right of 5, so the pieces don't connect. I've got two separate pieces I need to connect together. If you remember the notation for that, I need to join them up with a union. So I've got, negative infinity to 2 with a bracket on the 2, union 5 to infinity with a parentheses on the 5. Alright, last example. What if I just want x to be not equal to 5? Now what does that look like on my number line? Here's 5 that I don't want to be equal to, but it could be anything else, right? So you notice that's actually two separate intervals. So you can write that out as negative infinity to 5, parentheses, union 5 to infinity. Because you want to go all the way from negative infinity to 5, but just stop short of it. Pick up on the other side of 5 and go all the way to infinity.